Okay, so I don't think that Starbreeze could have had a bigger win this week than they did with the first World Bank trailer. I've already made a separate video discussing why I think that trailer is damn near perfect and by far the best one Payday 3's had to date. And then on the flip side of that, I don't think Starbreeze could have made a more baffling decision than the one they announced on Thursday, which is that Payday as a franchise and PUBG are collaborating, but not in the way that you might think. This isn't an instance where PUBG items are coming to Payday and Payday content is going to PUBG. Instead, the Starbreeze team themselves are taking a year to develop content for PUBG that is inspired by Payday, which is supposed to bring the heisting experience to a broader audience through PUBG with the aim of increasing the visibility and reach of the Payday franchise. This project is going to be engaging about a quarter of Starbreeze's development organization in a year. Something that instantly jumps out to me as worrying about the way this is worded is the lack of clarification as to whether this project is just a one-year endeavor or if this is going to be an ongoing partnership through future years, and if so, will that 25% or roughly a quarter increase each time? Because if so, and this little PUBG experiment does well in that game, then we could be looking at the beginning of a situation where more and more of the Payday team gets pulled on to develop this side mode for PUBG. And while I think this is incredibly unlikely, it's entirely possible that we could be looking at a future where Starbreeze just work on PUBG and don't develop Payday anymore. This is typically where I take the conversation down the line of, hey, I don't understand why Starbreeze are doing this, surely they understand that pulling devs away from Payday 3 right now is a bad idea. Because let's face it, I highly doubt that any of the developers being reassigned to this project are coming from Baxter, but I think we as the community are smart enough to know that Starbreeze corporate knows this. This isn't a healthy decision for the future of Payday 3, but then again, I doubt this is a decision that's had the future of Payday 3 in mind. And I say that because I find this paragraph of the most recent Starbreeze press release particularly telling. The partnership reflects Starbreeze's strategy to maximize the potential of the Payday IP and having a broader portfolio of projects under development. Work for hire projects also give Starbreeze the opportunity to focus on continuing creating compelling gaming experiences. This is honestly a really worrying statement because, as I said on Twitter the other day, I can't be the only one who thinks this reads as Payday is better as an IP to license out rather than make first-party content for. And if you look back at the last year, it seems like this could have been the plan for a very long time. Starbreeze have wanted to make a live-action Payday adaptation for pretty much as long as I can remember. Regardless of whether it turns out to be a TV series or a film, this is the first big instance of Starbreeze licensing out their IP or using their IP to earn revenue from the Payday IP through other means than just developing Payday content. We don't know much about this live-action adaptation and how it's going to be profitable for Starbreeze, so let's not talk about that one too much and instead discuss a collaboration that's already happened, the Rainbow Six Siege collaboration. This was a notably one-sided collaboration where no content actually came to Payday 3 and instead two operators in Rainbow Six Siege got skins inspired by Payday characters. This kind of collaboration is profitable for Starbreeze in either one or two ways. Firstly, and this applies even if the second one doesn't, having skins for Payday characters in another game just reminds people that Payday exists and can occasionally sell a copy of the game. Somebody could very easily see either the Chains or Dallas skin in the game and turn around and say, hey, I wonder what Payday's up to, and then either go and check out the game if they haven't already, or reinstall the game if they have and maybe pick up a DLC or two. That's why collaborations like that happen. The other way that this could be profitable, and we don't know if this was the case, I'd imagine it was, but again, I don't know this, but it's possible that Starbreeze got a cut of every single cosmetic item sold that's related to Payday. So if somebody bought the Dallas pack or the Chains pack or both, Starbreeze get a slice of the pie. For argument's sake, let's assume that there was a revenue share. Rainbow Six Siege is a game that gets tens of thousands of players each day, and it's entirely possible that through both of those methods, whether it be somebody getting reminded of Payday 3 or the sale of cosmetic items in Siege, that Starbreeze make more profit from something like this than they would through developing a new DLC pack. I'm obviously not saying that that is 100% the case, but if you look at the amount of people who play Payday 3 every day, and consider that it's quite unlikely that every single one of these people own DLCs, and then compare that to how many people play Siege each day, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if that turned out to be true. This really makes me wonder what the deal with the PUBG partnership is. If 25% of Starbreeze employees are going to spend the next year working on an expansion for that game that introduces elements of Payday's identity to the PUBG franchise, franchise, then I'm certain that there will be some sort of revenue share. Even if this isn't a paid DLC, perhaps it'll be done through the sale of cosmetics and stuff like that. Either way, if we take a look at the staggering player numbers that PUBG seems to be getting every day, then, well, I'm not terribly surprised that Starbreeze have deemed it fit to reassign around 25% of their development force to this project. And bringing it full circle, what does this mean for Payday 3? Is this the death of Payday 3? Well, no, it can't be. Why would Starbreeze let Payday 3 die when it's the only active game in the franchise that they're trying to license out to other parties? That doesn't make sense, and I think Starbreeze know that, and it's why they haven't pulled the plug. I know that that's a really, really harsh thing to say, but in all honesty, my current stance on why Payday 3 is still trundling along the way it is because Starbreeze want to license out this IP and collaborate with other developers, and they can't really do that so easily if there isn't an active project in the franchise. If you'll indulge me for a moment, I want to put my tinfoil hat on and do a little bit of conspiracy theorizing. I've heard it said that the release of the First World Bank trailer, which released on Wednesday, then this news the next day on Thursday, followed by Friday's blog post, which told us about leaderboards, another thing we can expect from Payday 3's next update that we'll talk about in a moment, was all planned as a way to cover up this news that came out in the middle. So give us First World Bank trailer, then give us this bad news, but then give us a new thing coming to the game on Friday. While I completely understand where that line of thought comes from, in fact it's the most likely outcome if you ask me, I wanted to float another suggestion past everybody, and let me know what you think of this one in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, consider clicking that subscribe button. But what if this news was announced the day after the First World Bank release trailer and heading into the week where the heist released as a way of enticing PUBG players to come over and visit Payday? Because currently, in the same way we would talk about something like Siege when Payday collaborated with Siege, I would imagine that Starbreeze and Payday is currently a little bit of a talking point in the PUBG community, and as such, I can imagine that a lot of the PUBG community is going to be checking in on Payday 3 this weekend, perhaps for the first time in months, or perhaps for the first time ever. And if these players were familiar with First World Bank from Payday the Heist or Payday 2, perhaps seeing that the Heist is returning to Payday 3 in just a few days is enough to make them pick up a copy of the game. And while I acknowledge that that is some heavy conspiracy theorizing, as I said before, I don't think it's completely out of the question. We know that certain content that was initially supposed to be releasing with this December update has been delayed, such as the complete overhauling of the armor system in the form of Armor 2.0. Of course, the secret Overdrill is not coming with First World Bank at launch, it's coming later, and I still believe that the paid character pack was initially supposed to be releasing alongside this update. All of this content being delayed, but the fact that we're still getting the Legacy Heist now really makes me wonder why. And I know that the developers just want us to have content now. The devs, let me clarify, are not part of the problem here. The people on the ground at Starbreeze are absolutely fantastic and are not responsible for the decisions made by the corporate higher-ups. God, that felt like a proper sponsored segment. I am not being paid to say any of that. Genuinely, I don't know why that had to sound like an ad read. So while I don't believe that there was any tactical planning around the release date of this heist from the developers' perspectives, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if there was from the side of the higher-ups at Starbreeze. But anyway, that just about wraps up everything that I have to say about Starbreeze's plans to partner with KRAFTON and develop some content for the PUBG experience. While I'm devastated to see that more and more resources are getting pulled away from Payday 3 support, I'm actually done with pretending like I'm surprised by any of this, and I'm going to make it very clear that currently, until we're kind of shown otherwise, my belief is that Starbreeze have made their true intentions with the Payday IP clear, and they are to license out the franchise anywhere they can and earn their cash that way. Look, we know that Payday 3 isn't profitable, but I just hate that this is the way Starbreeze are going around trying to bring money back into the IP. Not only because it's insulting to us as the player base who keep getting told that Payday 3 is Starbreeze's #1 priority when it quite clearly isn't. Instead, that should be reworded to Payday is Starbreeze's #1 priority, not Payday 3, but I also hate it because it puts the security and safety of Payday 3 on the line, which is a game that at its core, I really enjoy. I want to see the game thrive, and I know the devs are capable of cooking. I know they're capable of cooking the things they currently are, they just need the support to get certain things out of the kitchen. Of course, we have got an update releasing next week that brings with it First World Bank, and actually, as of Friday's blog post, we now know that this update is also bringing leaderboards to the game. Well, not really to the game, because the leaderboards themselves can be found on Starbreeze's Starbreeze's website. Personally, I don't understand why these are going to be hosted on the website rather than in-game. I'm sure it comes down to sort of technical limitations, but I really think that this is something that needs to be in-game for the most amount of players to engage with them. I also find it a little bit perplexing that these leaderboards are designed to reset each week, so that's any form of long-term grinding struck out for players who enjoy that. The blog states that we'll be able to see the top 10 players in addition to our own ranking. However, the image on the blog shows at least 134 players, so I don't understand if we're going to be able to see everybody or only the top 10 and ourselves. I guess we'll have to wait until Tuesday to see. I'll be streaming the update on Tuesday, and in fact, Tuesday is also my birthday, so we'll be having a little birthday celebration as well. Speaking of streams, if you managed to catch the stream earlier today where myself, the Noli, Mario in a top hat and Purple played through Payday the Heist, Payday 2 and Payday 3, thank you for being there and I hope you had a good time. And speaking of good times, as I said earlier, Payday 3's First World Bank Heist trailer is fantastic, and you can click through to a video where I watch it and break it down on screen now. So thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you in the next video.